Hello friends, let's read a book. Walt Disney's Storyland. 55 favorite stories adapted from Walt Disney films. I thought we'd read a few of these this week. Here's one, The Flying Mouse. There was once a mouse who longed for wings, great big wonderful flying things. He wanted to fly away through the sky on great big wings that would carry him high. He wanted to be a flying mouse and fly over everybody's house. He was tired of being a little ground mouse. And then one time in the middle of the night, there came a bright light into his room, and a small voice said, little mouse, get up and go to the place where the brook flows into the river. And from the second branch of the smallest tree, pick 2 green leaves. So the little mouse combed his whiskers and ran down to the place where the brook flows into the river. There was a little beech tree that grew there. And from the second branch, the little mouse picked 2 green leaves. Now, said the mouse, I have 2 green leaves, but what can a little mouse do with these? Then came the bright light again, all over the river. And a small voice said, little mouse, take the leaves you have there, put them under your arms and fly through the air. And lo and behold, the little mouse took the 2 green leaves and flew through the air. And as he flew, the leaves became wings. Great big wonderful flying things, and the little mouse began to fly. He flew over the houses of the other mice. He flew along with his wings up there, and he flew and he flew and he flew through the air. He flew over the treetops and everywhere. Then he came down out of the air to play with the other mice. But when they saw him, they ran away. They were all afraid and would not play with a flying mouse. Then the little mouse went to tease the cat, and the cat said, "Goodness, what is that?" And electricity flew out of his hair. I can't chase a mouse up in the air. The cat switched his tail like a lion in its lair. Whoever saw a mouse flying through the air, he would not play with a flying mouse. Then the mouse went to a rat to ask for some cheese. And the rat looked at his wings and said, "What are these? And why should I give a flying mouse cheese? I have no cheese for a flying mouse. Get out of my house." Then the mouse went calling on the birds in the air. He waved his wings and flew up there, and the birds all fluttered, and one bird sang, "Little flying mouse, you have wings, but we only play with feathered things. We cannot play with a flying mouse." And then came on the dark black night. The places he knew were out of sight. And then in the darkness, he heard an awful hiss. "Heavens," said the mouse, "now what is this?" And there in the air, flying everywhere, were terrible bats. They looked like great black flying rats. Bats! The bats were glad to see the mouse, and they flew with him into a darkened house. But the mouse was not very pleased at that. A mouse will never be pleased with a bat. The mouse was not happy there in the dark with the snarling bats and the hiss and the squeak and the other sounds that black bats speak. When morning came and he looked around, the bats were sleeping upside down. So the little mouse flew down to the ground. He flew to the ground and he ran to the brook. And there in a pool of the water, he took one look. Oh, dear me. Now what is that? For the flying mouse looked like a little fat bat, and the little mouse did not like that. Then the little mouse began to shiver, and he ran and he ran and he ran to the river. He sat down under the little beech tree, and he wondered and wondered what on earth he could be. There was no place on earth for a flying mouse. He didn't want to live in the black bat house, and no one would play with a flying mouse. "Oh, dear me," said the little mouse. "How I wish I were like other mice." And lo and behold, the light came back all over the river. The mouse's wings began to quiver. His wings flew back to be leaves on the tree, and the little mouse danced and cried with glee, "I am me!" And the small voice said, little mouse, go back to your house and be a mouse. The end. That was The Flying Mouse, told by Margaret Wise Brown. Bye, guys.